Hello, listeners. You're listening to 18 Minutes with Satyal and Silwal. I'm on my PJs and I'm Satyal.
And I'm Silwal. This has gone completely off. Anyways, welcome to this episode of 18 Minutes with Satyal and Silwal. Perspectives, conversations, and stories. That's how we do it. A very random entry to our episode because we're completely going off the books today.
Yeah.
Right? We've seen a lot of people going abroad, and there's this hype about
Which in turn has forced our parents to force us to also go abroad because everyone else is going out. Satyal and Silwal show no signs of going anywhere.
so far yet. You never know what's
happening.
What's happening? So we just thought, what would it be like if you were to really go abroad? So by you, I mean Satyal. And by you, I also mean the audience who's in Nepal right now and who's on the verge of trying abroad or wanting to study abroad and so forth. So we're creating this hypothetical, imaginary world about things that you would do. So Satyal, the first thing that you would do if you were to go abroad, what was the first thing that would come to your head when I said you're going abroad? Where are you going? So what's your answer?
United States probably.
United States of America.
United States.
America.
There's a reason for this. And now let's start getting into this discussion.
Yeah.
Because you remember that one time when we were talking about whether Australia or America, and you talked about how after all these things that I've done over these past couple of years, and if I were to apply to Australia, someone else who just graduated would also be applying and we'd be starting on the
same playing field.
Playing field. And this question, my friend, triggered a lot of, triggered a lot of thoughts in me. And I was like, yeah, you're right. For all these times that I've invested and all these things that I've done, I have to get into a university that actually appreciates the things that I've done, and probably that culminates into a scholarship or an assistantship or something like that. So that's why I'd say America.
I think, the first thing that comes to my head is the university itself. Because, no offense to ACE Institute of Management for my bachelor studies, one of the best places around, but that does not feel like a university. Whenever I feel like I am studying in a university, I feel of big spaces and everything is big, and there's buildings that were founded in 1771 or I imagine that.
So you're not going to UTS, are you?
Probably not. That's one of my main concerns when I go abroad, or the feeling that I have is I pretty much want that experience where there's 20,000 students, so many people out there. That's what I think.
And you can sell the podcast to everyone. That's what I'm thinking.
It's free, so no one's going to buy it anyways.
That's the idea of the podcast.
So I think that's one thing that I would look into, because the movies that I've watched, the books that I've read, the idea of a big university, that transfixes me to a different dimension. And then financial aid.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Many of us.
That is where I was coming into.
Many of us, Timro family, Mero family, we're in this middle class family where we cannot afford, this higher currency education.
Yeah.
Talk about $50,000, $60,000.
There has to be a certain bit of financial aid to compensate for what we cannot cover on our own. We cannot expect to pay all of it by ourselves. So financial aid is very important, and that is when I said that for all these things that we've been doing. So a college, this podcast in particular that we've been doing. We're not making money out of it, but we need to get into a college that looks into the podcast and says, hey, these guys are trying to improve themselves, are trying to build a community, are trying to do something, and they deserve something good.
I think, Satyal, just tracking back a bit, being very real conversation, trying to put in here. One of the reasons why we talked about, continuing this podcast as long as we can is, in our resumes, we're probably going to write, we have good communication skills. Thousands of people are going to write that in their resumes.
Yeah, but, that's the cliched.
Yeah, that's the cliched one. Good communication skills. We come in, we have proof of this many X number of episodes that we've already
yeah.
done, and that backs up your resume. So you don't want to come out as fake and unoriginal, but that's one of the reasons. So some universities value this, and I want to get inside a
Exactly, that is the
university
kind of
values
university
the work that I've been doing.
that I want to get into.
So-
Another question I have for you. Now this is very personal, and there is no right or wrong, right? Some people feel closer to their own Nepalese community, so they try to stay closer to their Nepalese community even if they've gone out. What about you? Would you want to stay in a close-knit community of Nepali friends, or would you just want to completely do away with them? Because there's another breed of Nepalese who tend to think that way.
I think there's one right answer for me.
Yeah, sure,
There's
go on.
nothing. You talked about being right and wrong. If I wanted Nepali friends, I'd stay in Nepal, to be honest. And this is not my opinion, but when I was doing my A-levels, there was this counselor, a student counselor who studied abroad and came back, and she told me, if you want to have Nepali friends, then just study in Nepal. If you want to get that cultural experience, not just the education, but your cultural experience of meeting new people from different ethnicities, different walks of life, that's going to make your life more fruitful. That's one way of looking at trying to spice up your experience abroad. That is one thing that I'd always want to get, because I love meeting new people, sharing my experiences with them. So that is one reason I'd see it. I also see the other side of the coin, where you're in an unfamiliar territory, you're with your crowd, you're with the people who share your language, who share your culture, who share your tradition. They would make life easier for you. True. Right? But I think you're at this age where we always talk about coming out of your comfort zone. So I think staying away from that Nepali friends, per se, would just be my way of going out of my comfort zone, because it's very easy to be in your comfort zone. That's what I feel. I don't know about you. What do you think on this? What's your take on this?
Can I just stay alone? I hate people. Whenever I need to talk to someone, I'll just ring you up, man. Do a podcast with you. Okay, talking about the podcast.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of listeners might be thinking, oh my God, these guys are talking about going abroad. Will the podcast continue after we've gone?
Yeah, it will. Because
say you are in Australia, UTS. I'm sorry.
Of everything. Thank you for shattering my dreams.
And I'm at this beautiful university with all those 17th century structures and everything. And does the podcast still continue?
Yeah, it does. I think it would make the podcast even more wonderful, I would say, because listen to me. You're out there, right? One is think of all the guests that we could bring in.
Yeah.
Right? Time zones does not really matter if you're passionate enough to make that call. It's just for 18 minutes.
Yeah.
People who say it's longer or it's too much, come on, it's just 18 minutes, right? It would give us a wonderful experience. There would be a new dynamic. Maybe we could do a Skype call or a hangout, and we could actually be doing video.
Yeah, true.
And one thing that I've always dreamt of, this is something that I've dreamt of. Let's say you're in that fancy ass university where big structures. Why don't you just share your experiences, from your phone? Just share it on the YouTube, and come on. That would be nice as well. So that's my thought on that.
So the overall experience of going out.
Yeah.
You're adamant that you want to go out. You don't want to do your next degree in Nepal. And your parents are not. Your parents are okay with that, right? But they want you to ship off as quickly as possible.
Not ship off as quickly as possible. Get a degree.
Get a degree.
Get a master's degree.
Yeah.
Because biha garna paउँदैन, घर पाल्नु पर्यो, and there's a lot of Nepali cultural questions that is there.
Are they? What do you think? Will they be very conscious of the university ranking, or you yourself? Apart from the structures and all those glitz and glamour, how much does the university ranking matter, and what are the top things that you would look for in a university before making a choice?
I think don't hold it against me or my perspective, but
no, I love you, man. I will not.
No, you might take it the wrong way, but not you, as in the audience. I read this article once where it talked about why Howard University might not be the one for you. because there was this article, there was this research. Yeah, damn right, I'm getting into a university now with this pronunciation. It talked about finding the college that fits you rather than looking at the rank of it. You need to find the college that fits you. What if you actually got inside Harvard University and you find hundreds of people who are better than you, who are better motivated than you? You might feel bad for yourself. You might be demotivated by the people around you because you feel you're incapable of things.
And there was this news of a student from Colombia dropping out because of that pressure.
Yeah, of the pressure, and she went and she wanted to study art or something like that.
Yeah.
It's finding the right balance for you. If you can handle that pressure, if you can take that stress for yourself, and if you think you can make it, then
go on.
Pick one for you that fits you. So I think for me it is about picking the right college for me rather than looking at the rank. I'm not saying rank does not matter. I'm obviously, if I had a chance, I'd apply in the top 10 universities, then some in the 500th or 600th university. I'd want that reputation as well,
but there's a balance.
There's a balance to it, right? And plus there's so many factors that goes into it. All right, Satyal, so hypothetical scenario, you have a loved one here. You love that person dearly, and gun to your head, you have to answer this, and gun to your head, you cannot ask this question back to me.
Well played, Silwal, well played.
So you have this loved person who's right here with you in Nepal, and for some reason he or she is not able to go out.
Wow.
Well, love everyone.
Yeah, we are open-minded.
So,
that person cannot go out.
That person is constricted or does not want to go out or has some reason to not going out. You, on the other hand, have to go out. Yeah. How does that play out for you in terms of relationships and how? Yeah, because I just threw a curveball at you.
I think the best way to answer this would be I would place myself in that person's shoes, and if I were to be that person, I would definitely not stop my loved one from going out.
It's not about stopping, but what would happen to
the relationship?
Yeah, the relationship.
I mean, if the relationship is strong enough, because it's a very technologically advanced world. You have Skype, you have everything. Yeah. So that should not stop a relationship. Distance makes the heart grow fonder, right? That's how it should be. So yeah, I mean, if two people are in a relationship and if one person has to go out, they make a joint decision, and it's not just a single decision, right? So when you make a joint decision, you say, okay, I need to go out, I need to get this experience, and this will culminate in a better future for the both of us, and that is how it is.
I'm just putting one more,
Yeah, sure.
Would you get engaged or married to that person to show your commitment?
I'm really thankful that this is a very hypothetical situation and I'm not in this situation at all. But we have seen instances where, especially the girl's family would want that assurance from the guy, because if it's someone like Silwal, he'll just like go abroad and then he'll marry this foreigner, and then the relationship is gone. From that aspect, the engagement, a lot of people do that, so I don't think that's wrong. But I'm not in that situation.
Yeah, somehow 5 minutes of our podcast just went into delving into that question. So coming back to university and things, what is one thing that you'd want to get out of your experience abroad? What is that you're looking for?
Whichever country I want go to, I make sure that
Cambodia. That's the country.
Cambodia. I just make sure that I travel a lot, because the traveling experiences and just getting the hang of new place, new people, that teaches you a lot. So it shouldn't really be about just going to university, getting a degree, getting conferred, and then coming back. So that is one thing that I want to ensure that doesn't happen.
Let's bring in a bit of a realistic view. You talked about traveling, and obviously it's much more fun to travel and all. But this is us staying in Nepal and then visualizing a world that is out there for us.
Definitely.
We've seen friends who are abroad and they're doing well. And
looks like they're doing well. We don't know. We don't know.
I hope they are.
We hope they are. Yeah.
Right. But when we talk to them, they talk about how difficult things are. And are you traveling? Not a lot of them are, because work, pressure, college, trying to sustain yourself. Would that demotivate you, or how do you look up as a challenge? Because right now, I'm pretty sure you're not a very good cook, are you?
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay, so about everything that comes down from cooking to doing your own laundry to managing yourself. So far you have your mom or someone who's there to aid you in your
Very
housework.
True. Very true.
Do you think you can take that challenge? Because some people cannot, and they return back once they cannot
True.
take
Because
that.
I think that's a very fair point. And once you are into that mentality of applying, then you need to start honing these skills like cooking or laundry and all those things. And about traveling pressure and about money, you say, I have made up my mind that I need to apply to a few colleges and I need to get a very good deal before I make a decision to go there. I see a lot of people going out without a plan. They're very desperate to go out, and they are in heaps of debt, and they cannot think of anything, and all their life starts becoming about money, and that is not something that I really, really want to get into. So that's one conscious decision that I want to make. So the offer that I get from the college has to be pretty enticing for me to make a decision. Maybe I'll defer a year and wait for the right deal. So that is something that I'm looking at. So I think that's one way I would look at it. What about you?
I think it's the same answer. So I don't want to get. Would you be homesick? Because a lot of times people go out there, they're in a different territory. Would you be homesick, and would you cry yourself out?
It's okay to cry, like Murray said. And the propensity to feel homesick for people our age, 24, 25, I think it's much bigger than someone who say just went out when they were 18. Our friends who went there during their undergrad, because we've stayed in Nepal and with our parents for a bit longer. And so I'm sure I'm gonna feel homesick, man. But that's something
but these are things you have to be conscious about. Right?
True.
You're going out, but just that you're not going out, you're leaving a lot of things behind. You're leaving your loved ones behind, you're leaving your comfort behind, you're leaving all the resources that was easily available for you behind, and you're going to a foreign land. So some things that you need to look into.
One last question before we end the podcast. You're doing a lot of great things here. You're running a podcast.
Whenever people talk about you're doing great things, that's the only thing that comes.
I'm adding things up. You're helping build a great school in Gorkha, right? You're teaching law students. So you're doing a lot of great things. Now suddenly you're asked to do some trivial job. With no disrespect to any job, but trivial compared to what you're menial, compared to what you're doing in Nepal. How would you be able to cope with that?
If I have to sustain myself, and if I need food on my table, and there is no other thing that I cannot do, I cannot be choosy and be like, I'm not going to do that work.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Beggars can't be choosers. So it's about building yourself up.
But you need to remind yourself, right? This mentality, you need to get into that.
You cannot just go out there and be like, damn, man. Because one of our good friends, Rivaz, he went to Australia a few months
back,
ago, and he learned barista training. He did his barista training. That was amazing planning that I have not seen from a lot of people. Because he knew that was one skill that he could easily turn it into money. So those are some things that I would look into. Get myself a bit fitter, do those hard work, so that maybe I'll get a good job. But if I don't, I have to start somewhere.
For the time being, life has to go on, and there needs to be food on your table.
So,
all right, listeners. So we just had a discussion on what life might be like.
Yeah, that was a very random, and we talked about so many things.
But we hope we made sense. And we'll be back again next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. on YouTube and on SoundCloud. And one last thing.
It's never too late to start.